So after Dustin Poirier finished Conor McGregor in the second round of their bout in the main event of UFC 257, Poirier versus McGregor 2 last night, I found myself wondering one thing as I watched Conor McGregor on that canvas. What is going to be next for that guy right there? Because in that moment after he got finished badly the way he did, I thought to myself, are we even ever going to see Conor McGregor again? Why would he come back after being TKO'd? He has so much money. He doesn't need the brain damage. I don't know if he's ever going to come back again, but in the press conference afterwards, McGregor showed up. He handled the loss very well, as he typically does. In all honesty, he took it very well. He seemed very gutted about his performance, but he also came out in the press conference and said that he will be competing again. He wants to come back. He wants to redeem himself. He wants that redemption arc to get back to the top and fight the top competition and get right back in there. I will say this, first of all, before we even talk about opponents, because in this video today, I'm going to go through the lightweight division and tell you guys who I think is the ideal matchup for Conor McGregor right now for his next bout as a comeback. Before we even talk about that, the first thing Conor McGregor needs to do next is take a little bit of time off, because I know I wanted to see Conor McGregor active my whole life, but right now, for the first time in my whole life, I don't want to see Conor McGregor active. He took a bad loss to Dustin Poirier. He was doing very well in that fight. I know he looked a little bit off in the fight in my opinion, but he was doing pretty well, landing some good shots. He just didn't really find the finish, took too many calf kicks, eventually got caught with that big counter being a bit too sloppy, and then Poirier capitalized. But I want to talk about the finish. It was really bad. And I don't want to see Conor McGregor back in there until at least June. I know he wants to be active. Let's get him back in there in June. He's got to be the main event of a pay-per-view, which we also got to talk about as well. So I feel like it's got to be a reasonably big name for him to come back against. It can't just be a contender coming off of a loss. We can talk about those kind of names right now. Dan Hooker suffered a loss in the co-main event of 257 as well. The storylines there, they were around the same time that they lost. They both suffered the same consequence. They came in as the favorite. They lost. They've got to rebuild. They've got to try and get it back. They both lost on the same card. I feel like there's some storyline there. But again, with this Dan Hooker name, I don't see, as much as I would love to give Dan Hooker a Conor McGregor fight, because he has got to wait there on Fight Island for 8 months now and quarantine, which just sounds absolutely horrible after losing the way he did. I feel so bad for him. I'd love to give him a McGregor bout, but I do know that McGregor needs to be the headliner of a pay-per-view here, because he's not going to be the co-main event. That's not going to happen. UFC would ruin their pay-per-view buys, and he's probably not going to be a fight night main event. Let's be real here, guys. He's not Derek Brunson, so he's going to be a main event of a pay-per-view, and I don't think Dan Hooker is the name on the other end of that pay-per-view that's going to bring in the money and really justify its position on a card. I think McGregor should come back against an opponent in June, and the same time I want to see Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal in the co-main event. Neither fight has belts on the line. We're going to combine them together to get the most out of it, and that'll sell 2 million pay-per-views in my opinion. Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington, after the Ultimate Fighter build-up as well. Conor McGregor versus his opponent, which we're going to talk about in this video, because I feel like I've found the golden man for the job. Or woman. It's a man. It's a man. I'm not going to put him against a woman. But still, it's a man, and I found the golden man for the job here against Conor McGregor, and I'm going to go through the rankings right now and tell you guys who it is and who it isn't, but that should main event a fight card on a pay-per-view with Masvidal versus Covington as the co-main. It makes sense. Let's do it. I know Masvidal wants to come back in April, but he's going to have to wait because Tough starts in April, and if he's doing the Ultimate Fighter, which if the world is sane and I'm not going crazy, obviously, Covington and Masvidal are going to be the Ultimate Fighter coaches. That's just obvious. Otherwise, the UFC is absolutely brain dead and delusional, like Neil Magny. But we're not even going to get into Neil Magny. Moving on. What was I talking about? Right, fucking Neil Magny. Sorry, I just think about Neil Magny chucking Chiesa on top of him. What we talking? Conor McGregor. He's coming back against opponents. Look at this lightweight division right now with me. Justin Gaethje, it's not going to be him. There's no way. He's number one. I think Poirier is definitely going to go to number one right now after the ranking changes. And I think McGregor also, while we're on the topic, is probably going to go down 2 positions here. From number 4 to number 6, I see Chandler jumping in above Ferguson now after that win against Hooker and taking a number 4 spot behind Charles Oliveira. Poirier switching above Gaethje, number 1, and Gaethje at number 2, which should have been the case anyway from the beginning. I think we're also going to see McGregor shift below Ferguson. Chandler's going to be at 4. Ferguson's going to stay at 5. McGregor's going to go down to number 6 and maybe like an RDA will sneak above him as Hooker goes down. I'm not too sure, but he's going to lose a little bit of stock. But if you look through those rankings, you can't put him against Justin Gaethje right now, and it seems like Gaethje's going to be fighting Nate Diaz most likely. We'll see. Nate Diaz is also an option for Conor McGregor, and that's a big enough name to be on a card as a pay-per-view headliner, so that's obviously an option. I just feel like competitively wise, I don't want to see that yet. I want to see Nate Diaz get himself back into the mix at lightweight, and then we'll talk about a trilogy down the line between him and Conor McGregor. I don't want to see Conor McGregor get a fallback fight against Nate Diaz, a bit older, a bit more damaged, coming down to the lightweight division. I feel like the anticipation for a trilogy will only truly be there if Nate Diaz comes back and is successful in that lightweight division, and I think that'll just make the fight way bigger in general, so we should wait for that. And in my opinion, Conor McGregor is not going to be taking on Charles Oliveira, obviously. I think Poirier and Oliveira will fight each other for a vacant belt in that lightweight division. I also believe that Poirier is not going to be fighting Gaethje next. Gaethje will probably fight Nate Diaz for a title shot afterwards, or if Nate Diaz wins, maybe do Nate Diaz versus the winner of Conor McGregor, and the one opponent he needs to take on next. It's a perfect guy right now. Tony Ferguson is the type of guy to be Conor McGregor's comeback fight, and Conor McGregor is the type of guy to be Tony Ferguson's comeback fight as well. Two aging careers on the slide. Everything is on the line. Whoever loses this one loses relevancy completely, because Ferguson's still got a little bit of spice. He will still be the main event of a pay-per-view alongside Conor McGregor. The storyline is there. The promo is there. They're on the same situation right now. If Conor McGregor loses again, he's actually done. The hype is still there for Conor McGregor's redemption, in my opinion. If he can go on a run and turn things around and defy the odds, just the risk of him losing it all is enough for people to be gravitated towards an event, because they know it's all on the line. If McGregor loses again, he's done, in my opinion. He's almost done now, but I think he's got one more chance. If Tony Ferguson loses again, that's 3 in a row. That whole El Kukui thing is done after that one. I think Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson is the matchup to make, at least after all of this horribleness. Can Tony Ferguson get a good thing happen to him, please? That would make me happy as a person. I know I said I wanted to see Dan Hooker get a Conor McGregor bout. I want to see Tony Ferguson get a nice big payday against Conor McGregor, get his millions, and just have a nice big fight as the main event of a pay-per-view. Maybe even get some pay-per-view shares as well. Let's make that fight happen. I think the press build-up would be amazing. I think there would be trash talking, which could bring a better side out of Conor McGregor. Who knows? Maybe this whole humble thing is not really his... Maybe he needs to really be into it like he was against Khabib, and angry and emotional and want to go out there and really hurt a guy. Who knows? But maybe this humble thing isn't working out. But I feel like him and Tony Ferguson wouldn't be able to help himself but get into some kind of verbal exchange with Conor McGregor. And I think if you had a pay-per-view and a press conference beforehand with Tony Ferguson on left, Conor McGregor on the centre right, Masvidal on the centre right, or Covington on the centre right next to Conor McGregor, and Masvidal on the centre, on the far left, in front of you, McGregor, Ferguson, either side of them, Covington and Masvidal. That would sell 2 million pay-per-view buys. Make that happen in June. After the Ultimate Fighter happens between Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. I don't care about anything else right now. Fuck Nate Diaz Trilogy. Fuck Dustin Poirier Trilogy. I know Poirier's now mentioning anyone's name but Charles Oliveira and some others. I know he mentioned that he wants a Nate Diaz or a Conor McGregor fight, which I think is not going to happen for Dustin Poirier. He's definitely going to be taking on Oliveira next. I don't care about a Nate Diaz trilogy. I don't care about an RDA fight, but I'll tell you this, I was thinking RDA is an option right now. RDA is a real option. He's coming off of a win. He looks very beatable for Conor McGregor. So does Tony Ferguson right now, so it's a good chance that McGregor will win those bouts compared to like a Michael Chandler, which we'll talk about, because Michael Chandler might just run through everyone. I was thinking about that last night as well. He just came out there, and I know it might be because Dan Hooker had a bad performance. Maybe. He didn't really throw anything. He looked very hesitant, and maybe he took too much shots against Dustin Poirier beforehand. But Michael Chandler might just donk everyone in the first round the way he just did to Dan Hooker. That's a very dangerous matchup. And I feel like the matchups to make right now are Dan Hooker versus Nate Diaz in May, or something like that. Maybe that can also be on the card. That would be an amazing card. We would break all... That's the plan. In June, McGregor, Ferguson main event. Co-main event, Covington, Masvidal. Feature fights, Dan Hooker, Nate Diaz. That's what I want to see right now. Rafael Dos Anjos, I'm sorry, you're going to have to take on the winner of... I don't even know. Maybe I don't even know what Dan... Maybe I don't even know. I don't even know what's going to happen right now. Maybe Nate Diaz gets Rafael Dos Anjos. I want Nate Diaz to get Gaethje, but then again, I want Michael Chandler to have a way to go forward in the division. I don't want Michael Chandler to now take a step back against Rafael Dos Anjos. I mean, he could do if he wanted, but that's not really going to get him too far or anything that he wants in the division. So I have no idea what's going to happen with Michael Chandler. I don't see McGregor taking that one after just getting KO'd the way he did, because he did go out for a second. I know he didn't go to sleep forever, but he did switch off for a second after Poirier was hitting him. So I think Tony Ferguson is the perfect matchup to make. Everything, all the boxes are ticked. There's also other matchups to make as well down the line, maybe if Makhachev wins. But I think the game plan for McGregor right now is to beat Tony Ferguson in June, turn around after hopefully a win without any concussion, turn around in like an August or a September, get a win there against maybe the winner of a Gaethje versus Nate Diaz for a title shot after the winner of Poirier versus Oliveira gets crowned, as they should. Maybe Chandler gets a fight with someone. Maybe if Gaethje beats Diaz, you do Gaethje versus Chandler. And if Nate Diaz beats Gaethje, you do Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor, free the trilogy to jump McGregor up afterwards. There's a bunch of options for Conor McGregor. I don't think the hype is lost, because I think right now you've replaced the aura of invincibility with, oh my god, don't let this be the end. You know? And that's an equal little bit of excitement before a fight. I know it's very cool to watch a fight and embedded all along the lines and just wonder the entire time, I wonder how McGregor's going to do this time. He's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see his performance. I don't mind the same buzz to wonder if, oh my god, is Conor McGregor's career going to be over after this one for good? And are we never going to see him ever again permanently because of this? That's equally a nice little buzz before an event that's going to get the nerves going like it was last night, because that was crazy. And that's all I need to say. That is all I need to say. Conor McGregor has a chance to come back. If he goes against Ferguson, that's the perfect matchup. He also used to be a shared management, so I'm sure they have some ties together. I'm sure they have a bit of a relationship. They have each other's number 100%. That's all I know. And Ferguson wants to take some time off as well. He should do after that injury against Oliveira to his arm. I know he wants to get back in there. Ferguson versus McGregor in June. Make it happen. Hooker versus someone. I'm not even too sure. Maybe Hooker versus like a Rafael Dos Anjos. But I don't even know if Hooker's going to continue, man. I feel bad for him. I don't know if Hooker will continue, in all honesty, because he said that if he can't compete at the top level, he's not going to compete whatsoever, and he was taking his gloves off in the cage afterwards. Man, I feel bad for Hooker. I feel good for Chandler because he had a great promo after his win. Fuck, I feel bad for Hooker. I don't actually feel too bad for McGregor because he's still a fucking billionaire, but Dan Hooker, that sucks, man. He's so cool as well. I was watching all of his interviews leading up to the fight. It's very sad times to get dusted up the way he did, but yeah, sorry RDA, you're just not going to get... RDA, I feel bad for, because he did get a good win over Felder, but then again, it was on a week's notice. I feel like RDA's got another 2-3 wins before he's looking at a title shot, and that sucks, but that's just the way it's got to be. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. We're still going to have this thing happen. We're still going to make do with this, and maybe down the line, now there's the build-up for a Dustin Poirier trilogy fight. The first guy to finish Conor McGregor. Can McGregor get past the guy who TKO'd him? Maybe in an alternate universe in about a year's time, at the end of this year in December, we could have McGregor versus Poirier, with McGregor after 2 wins in a row over Tony Ferguson, and let's say Justin Gaethje or a Nate Diaz trilogy fight, as Nate Diaz is up the rankings in the top 3 after beating Gaethje. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but still. Gaethje or Nate Diaz. You have Poirier coming off a win over Charles Oliveira and maybe Chandler, or Chandler beats the winner of Poirier versus Oliveira maybe, who knows? Then the winners of all of that at the end fight each other. We'll see how it goes. I have some dreams. I mean, I know MLK, but you know. Hopefully Conor McGregor comes back and makes a do of things. It really sucked to see him ditch the game right now and get put out of it by some talented fighters. But then again, that Ferguson fight is risky. That's the problem now. I've changed the way I feel about things because Ferguson can kick calves. He can kick legs pretty hard when you're standing with him. McGregor's going to have to change some things for sure. Thank you for watching the video. Click that button up there. Goodbye.